Hello everybody. My name is Sheppard and I'm the President of the Buddhist Society of Western Australia, and I belong to a care group that we are starting up here at the Buddhist Society of Western Australia. In fact, this care group is a group of people that are going to come together to start up a listening service for the membership and the supporters and the friends of the Buddhist Society of Western Australia. And we're a fair way into this task of starting up this listening service. We've already trained one group of people, and we have enough to be able to set up some shifts to man telephones over a few hours yet to be decided, but it will start probably in about a month or so. We're just in the process of setting up some computers and telephone systems to be able to manage what we're doing, but also just getting everything in place in terms of training and making sure that everything is okay from our end, so that it can be okay for anyone who might want to ring in and talk about all sorts of things, anything from loneliness and despair, depression, even through to suicide thoughts and ideation. So we see this as a very important service, and particularly useful for those practitioners here and around the world that are practicing meditation, because becoming a listener in this way is a very important service that we can provide to our friends and to our family and really to the whole community. As you would probably understand, to listen to somebody is really quite a special thing, because very often we don't listen very closely, we don't listen very intently to what somebody is saying. You know, as a general rule, I know for myself too that you can find yourself already making up a rebuttal to what's being said, or maybe thinking, why don't they do this, or can you do this? And we're always ready to offer advice. But it's very rare to find someone that can listen to somebody else very intently. And this is what the service that we're trying to introduce. And we are training. We know that it does take some training to do this. It's just not something that comes natural to people, just to be able to listen. But once you understand, and once you can learn some of the techniques in listening skills, it can be very helpful. And really that is the purpose of what we're bringing you here today, because we're starting off today with the first of what we hope is several weeks or days of presenting to you different aspects of listening for your own meditation, so that you yourself can become a listener for yourself. It's another way of seeing meditation, another way of presenting it to you, so that you can actually look at and see inside yourself and listen to yourself very closely, very clearly, very lovingly, very silently, very carefully. So the intention of these talks is really just to bring a few topics. In fact, we're bringing the topics that are trained in our training when we're preparing people to be able to listen on a telephone line. We're bringing those topics to you, and we will bring them to you over the next few times that we do these talks. And the topics may include things like dealing with grief and loss, working with anxiety and depression, accepting and understanding LGBTQI+, the alphabet soup, if you like, of our human condition, knowing our own emotional noise, building understanding and developing wisdom about what we're seeing inside ourselves and the way that we feel about ourselves. We can learn how to be an effective listener for ourselves. And also sort of noticing and trying to understand and seeing the conditioning that put issues and problems and traumas that we have in our lives there in the first place, just understanding how that conditioning process works and how we are the people that we are, why we end up being a certain way, what makes me an Australian, what might make you a United States citizen or a European citizen or an English person. All these conditioned things come to us, and they start from a very early age. And we'll have a little look at that too. We'll also maybe have a little look at just suicide ideation and thoughts of suicide, and maybe how we might be able to sort of deal with those, how we might be able to help ourselves with, if we do find ourselves playing around with thoughts like that. We'll also look at external manipulation that happens, just the way that our world tends to put us into boxes and sort of forces us sometimes to be the way that we are. Just that manipulation, perhaps that we don't want to do, perhaps being forced to do things that we don't want to do, and to understand how to work with that. We'll also look at understanding sexuality and understanding our own personal work, and that's sort of versus the way that the world itself is conditioned. So we'll look at those sorts of things, as well as the very topical thing at the moment. We'll also have a little look at developing kindness and acceptance of this COVID-19 virus that has come into our lives so dramatically, really, over the last little while. And indeed, I'm sitting here in the hall at the Buddhist Society of Western Australia today, where the hall is empty, and we're doing this too largely because we have got this opportunity now to do this, because people aren't here at the centre. We're certainly practising to bring you as much live streaming of the Buddha's teachings as we can. But today we're going to be dealing specifically with anxiety, and we thought that we'd start off today with anxiety because it is something I think that's very topical at the moment. There is a lot of anxiety around the world at the moment, even panic, you might say. I certainly notice in my own circle of friends a panic that's really starting to become quite noticeable, and a lot of fear. And sort of understanding that anxiety and just understanding where it comes from and what we can do about it too is really quite an important thing. So today, and with all of these talks, we're going to be doing a guided meditation that'll look at the way these issues impact on us, and using the meditation so that we can actually notice and see just what we might be able to do to be able to get a distance or a space between what's happening for us in the way that we are feeling anxious, and just getting a perspective on that, being able to sort of see what that perspective is, what it is that we can do to get a space between us and the troublesome condition. Just understanding what that spaciousness is, understanding how to bring that stillness into our minds so that we can cocoon these conditions with this beautiful experience of stillness that is so much valued in the life of a Buddhist practitioner and the life of a meditator. So there's just a couple of things I'd like to say as a preamble just to the guided meditation that we'll be doing today with regard to this topic of anxiety and fear. And that is really just to, perhaps in the first instance, just point to a couple of the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha, and as you'll see over this series of talks that we're going to do like this, you'll see that the Buddha was an extraordinarily good list maker. I suspect the Buddha had a very, very structured mind. He made an inordinate amount of lists for different conditions and different things that came up in the life that he was living all that time ago, 2,500 years ago. And it's just astonishing really how what he saw really is so relevant even today. But one of the things I'd like to just point to today is just this idea of the five Candas, the five Candas. Candas is a Pali word that means aggregates. So the five aggregations that he talked about, and those five aggregations, they start off with everything that's physical, just the world itself, our bodies, anything that comes into the physical realm of existence. That is the first Kanda. The second Kanda is feelings, so feelings inside. And then the third Kanda is perceptions. And then the second Kanda, I'm sorry there, the third Kanda is perceptions. And then the fourth Kanda is the movement of mind. So I want to really come back the other way from these in a moment, but then the movement of mind moves on to the fifth Kanda, which is really where we want to head to today with our meditation, the fifth Kanda of consciousness itself, pure consciousness. So coming back the other way, you can see that there is it's like a nested set of aggregations that we've got there, where the Buddha starts off with pure consciousness, and then there's a movement of consciousness, the way that consciousness moves to then create the next Kanda, which is perceptions, which brings you to the second of the Kandas, which is feelings, and then the feelings then fuse into this world, this physical world that we see around us. So I would like to just first of all just bring that to your attention, just so that I can use it a little bit in the guided meditation. So we just have those five nested elements, those five nested aggregations that are there. And then the other things that I'm going to be talking about a little bit in here is really the hindrances to meditation. Those hindrances that come along and stop us from being peaceful, stop us from going to the stillness of mind. And quite simply, those hindrances work out, well, there's five of them, but the first four are in fact two sets of pairs. So the first two are desire and aversion. And really quite simply, when those two start to dissipate, it just really leaves contentment in your mind. There's this contentment that's left when any thoughts of desire and any thoughts of anguish or pain, that kind of thing comes into our mind. There's just really contentment that's left. And of course, if you've got a contented mind, you'll probably be a very good meditator already. But practicing to be contented is one of those things that we try to practice. And then the second of the two conditions that make up these five hindrances are restlessness. So this just having a body that wants to move all the time, you can't sit still, right through to the opposite extreme of sloth and torpor, where we are just wanting to crash, sort of lie down, go to sleep even, just move slowly and not have the right balance of energy. So, and indeed, the balance between restlessness and sloth and torpor really is really where we would like to head to, so that there's a very nice balance in our energy state. And indeed, even right energy is one of the eightfold paths. So this is a very, very important thing to have in your meditation armoury. And the fifth hindrance, of course, is just that very simple thing of doubt. And this guided meditation will be really set up, hopefully, so that you can come to terms with that doubt, so that you can see a balanced energy in your body and your mind, and also see that the contentment between desire and aversion is there in your mind. So I really just wanted to set up those couple of things just before we started, and And then we can perhaps just start to look at just what anxiety is. And I would very much like you to when you're looking at this anxiety, to know how it feels, to know what anxiety feels like in your body, because it is very important too to know just what is the balance between when you're thinking about things, when you have an intellectual understanding of things that come out of your head, and then also to know how that balances with the feelings that come out of your heart. So the head and the heart, if you like, the emotional experience that comes with the intellectual understanding of whatever it is that we're looking at. So balancing the head and the heart really it's really one of the greatest things that that the human condition has. This ability to really know, because it's actually that ability that gives us the chance to self-reflect, to be able to look back on ourselves, look back on our mind, and be able to notice and see, just in the way that we're going to be doing now in this guided meditation. So having that balance between head and heart is again a very, very useful thing to know about and to bring to bear when we're doing this little practice today, when we're learning how to listen to ourselves, to listen inside, to listen to just what is happening when this idea of anxiety arises in your mind, the anxiety and fears that might come from all sorts of things, but most effectively today, though, of course, just this COVID-19 virus that is plaguing the world and causing so much disruption. So, if you are already, I'm just going to take a little drink of water. And what I'd like you to do is just to start to relax yourself. Come into a good meditation posture. If you're sitting on a chair, that's quite fine. It's always nice just to have your feet nicely anchored onto the floor, and if your legs aren't long enough, you can always just put a little cushion or something there to make sure that you're anchored nicely. My personal preference is to sort of sit forward in a chair if you're sitting in a chair, just so that you're not using too much, you're not sort of lounging too much into the chair, just so that your back's nice and erect, nice and straight, and your head is pointing to the top of the ceiling. So then we usually just make our hands the right hand on the left, with the fingers just gently touching. And I'll run through why I like to do it that way when we just start the process of meditation in a minute, just so that there's that little fine touch that where your thumbs and your fingers just touch, because there's a lot of sensation in your hands and your fingers, and it can be used to good effect. So, making your mind quite still and peaceful and bringing your attention inside yourself. So the idea now is to remove your attention from the external and to come inside your mind, come inside your body, leaving everything that's outside. Closing your eyes, you're breathing through your nose. Your tongue just naturally falls onto the palate of your mouth as your mouth is closed. And you're just breathing in and out. And when you're ready, you can just pop your attention onto your toes, onto your feet. Maybe even your big toes, if you like. You can feel your big toe just by giving it a wiggle, if you like, or maybe you can feel the pressure of your feet on the floor and just feel through into your big toe. And then just let your attention run across the arches of your foot. You can usually even sense that arch in your foot, and then back into the heel. Usually there's a bit of callus and around the heel of your foot. And then just moving your attention up into the ankles, where your foot is articulated onto your leg. And moving your attention up through the shins, Perhaps even stopping to notice your calf muscles, just the nice, floppy, sometimes quite powerful calf muscles. And just noticing the hardness of your shins. Then moving through the knees, just where they're bending. And if there's any pressure or any tension there, just adjust your legs and make sure that it's nice and comfortable. Just relaxing as you go. And moving your attention up to the thighs, through into your bottom, and then into your back. Lower back first, and then round the tummy. And here you can always stop and just take a little bit of time, if you like, to just notice any movements or rumblings that are going on there. There's sometimes little rushes and movements that happen, gurgles in your tummy. Then coming up to your chest with all the rhythms that are going on in there. And then up to your upper back, around your shoulder blades. And then feeling your arms resting by your sides. And bringing your attention down through your arms, through your elbows, into your forearms, into your wrists, and then into your hands, and then your fingers. And just take time to notice around your fingers. As I say, there's usually plenty of energy there, and very often there's like a little tingling. It can be almost like an effervescent feeling. Sometimes you can almost feel it sort of jumping across the space, one finger to another, just that energy. And it can be very relaxing and very beautiful, because you can sometimes, that feeling will expand, and from there you can sometimes feel it on your body, feeling it around the edges of your skin, the way it tingles, relaxing. When that's happening, you know that your body is relaxing nicely. Starting to be in touch with your body. And then when you're ready, just moving your attention up through your neck and into your head, and just feeling the head nicely balanced on your shoulders. Around the lips too, sometimes there's the same tingling. There's lots of energy there around your mouth and in your lips. And also behind the eyes and up into the top of the head. Sometimes that tingling is there. If you're really very lucky, you might even find your whole body kind of engulfed in this tingling, so that it feels like it's floating. But just relaxing, and just now knowing that you're totally there, totally with your body, knowing that your body is relaxed or moving to relaxation, and that your attention is inside. There's no longer any reason to be external to your body. You're right inside, feeling your whole body working, all the organs, everything that's happening, and the whole of the skin that's wrapping the body up is all there. That's beautiful, slightly vibrating feeling that's containing you, and you know that now that you're here, now that you're in this fathom long length of body that the Buddha talked about, you know that you're in a place where you can see and understand all that he saw. Now as you just allow your attention just to come to your breath, and your breath will just naturally find its own pace. And you can just know whether the breath is moving in or it's moving out. But you'll notice that already your body is starting to relax. Already your body is moving deeply into this relaxation. And you're starting to focus on the breath. Just watching the breath, knowing whether it's coming in or it's going out. You might be sitting somewhere like on the tip of your nose. Just sitting there watching, observing, knowing what the breath is doing. Is it coming in or is it going out? And as your attention is starting now to become more involved with the breath, you're also starting to notice that your relaxation is getting deeper. You're also starting to notice that your attention is moving to encompass only the breath, to be just with the breath. Beautiful breath, life-giving breath. And the more you focus, the more relaxed you're feeling. And you can start to notice now as the mind is relaxing, the body is relaxed and the mind is relaxing. You can start to notice that there's quite a beauty, there's quite a wonderful, happy experience that's there. As you are just watching your breath. And you can feel yourself now being grounded. You're grounding yourself. Into the place that we're sitting and inside your body. Your body is starting to become still. And your mind is starting to become still. The only thing that you're starting to notice is really just the sound of my voice and the words that you're hearing. But you don't need even to try and understand what's being said. You just let the words come and let the words go. And you just let yourself relax more deeply into the stillness. As the words that I'm speaking just wash over you. In fact, you start to notice that these words that you're hearing are really nothing but the second and the third noble truth. There's just conditions that are arising and conditions that are finishing. The second and the third noble truth. And you can start to see your breath in the same light. Your breath is a condition that's arising and then finishing. Again, the second and the third noble truth. Right there to see, right here and now. And you can just let yourself relax more deeply now than you've been before. As you just listen to the sound of my voice and the meaning of my words, which you don't even need to try and understand. Just let them come and let them go. And let yourself relax. Feel yourself being grounded into this earth. Earthed. Connected. Knowing that all the physicality of the body that we're sitting in is part of the earth. And then more than that, we can also know perhaps a little bit more intellectually that it's all so part of this universe. That this earth is a planet that goes around the sun. That's part of this universe. And here we are sitting grounded on this earth, relaxed, content, knowing now that any desires are gradually dissipating and any aversions on the other end of the scale are also starting to dissipate. And we are starting to feel very clearly just this beautiful contentment of mind. As the first and the second hindrance start to withdraw. And we can also start to look at the energy of our body, to know the energy of our body as we're relaxing deeper and deeper. As we're becoming more and more still, we can notice the energy of our body is now becoming balanced. We have enough attention in our body just to keep ourselves erect and still. And we're awake enough. We're not drowsy or trying to go to sleep. We're vibrant. Our mind now is quite vivid. It's awake. And it is starting to notice. Notice the relaxation that's there with each breath that comes in, flows out. Each second and third noble truth. We can already start to see that we have space around our breath. We can notice our breath as an object that is flowing in and flowing out. Beautiful to be with. Bringing us contentment and balance. And we're starting to see that this is something that we can know, we can see it, and that also helps with the doubts that might come. We can see that as we are developing this present moment, that we are starting also to be free of our doubts. Because as you will notice, as you're watching this breath and becoming aware of this breath and becoming aware too of the present moment. Just aware that the past is gone now and we're not worried about the future at the present. We're just involved with this present moment. And we can see the beauty and the joy and the happiness that brings. We can see everything in a contented way, in a loving way, beautiful way. And we can too understand that because we are moving towards this present moment, that we're also moving towards truth. Indeed, we are moving past even the aggregation of feelings. As we look deeper into our feelings, and we can see that they're made up from the perceptions that we have. And then as we look at the perceptions, we can see that we are making those up from the movement of our mind. And we start to get an idea of what it is to have this mind moving. But more importantly than that, as this contentment starts to grow in our mind, we can start to see that there is a stillness there. A stillness that we can feel, that we can know beyond any doubt. You can notice it now. You can see that it's there. You can see that our breath is coming out of the stillness and it's finishing back into the stillness. In the same way that my words are coming out of the stillness and returning to the stillness. You're starting to become aware that we're watching this pure, still consciousness. Consciousness that is there, right in the very heart of the present moment. And because it is right in the heart of the present moment, it is right in the heart of truth. This present moment we can know is where reality is. We can know that reality is not found in the past, or it's not found in the future. Reality is not found in the things that we maybe think we've done wrong in the past, or the concerns of that we didn't do things right, or things might be wrong that we've done. We can see that there's no reality there. And we can also see that any anxieties about the future, any fears or concerns that we've got about what is to come, there's no reality there. This is because we know now, we know the present moment. And this present moment is really right, where reality is, where truth is. And we can know beyond any doubt that we are starting to head in the right direction. And as you're starting to experience this stillness of mind, the stillness that surrounds your breath, the stillness that surrounds the words that I'm speaking, I'd like you in a sense to really take that on board, to even, if you like, wallow in the experience, to understand that experience and know that it's a wholesome experience, a good experience. It's an experience that your heart enjoys. Your heart is pulled to this experience because it's truthful. And because you can know that you're moving away from the dukkha, the suffering of the First Noble Truth. You're now starting to see what the Buddha saw. You can start to see the beginnings of conditions, the beginnings of my words and the endings of my words, the beginnings of your breath, the endings of your breath. You can start to intuit the beginnings of a day and the endings of a day. You can start to intuit the beginnings of a year and the endings of a year. And even go so far as to begin to intuit the beginning of a life and the ending of a life. Because you can see it all in the stream of still consciousness that's right there in the heart of the present moment. It's right there in the heart of the present moment, and it is always there for you to find, right in the heart of this present moment. So as we are looking at anxiety today, you can see where that anxiety fits in the scale of what it is to know. It's a condition that has been inculcated into us. A condition that finishes when we turn our attention to the present moment. It's a condition that we know can end, does end. And we can see and intuit the emptiness of that condition, because we are starting to see just the truth that's there in the present moment, the reality of what is present right here and now, right in the heart of this present moment. And you can see this present moment with great vigour, with great vividness. The clarity is quite palpable, the clarity of this stillness. Just noticing what it feels like and just allowing yourself to cultivate it, to cultivate this stillness, to cultivate the power of it. Because you can start to know beyond any doubt that this stillness is the place where we can let go. We can let go of our conditions, let go of all of the troubles and traumas, let go of all the anxieties and the fears, and let it all go into this stillness. This stillness is very powerful. This stillness is a healing quality. When you can bring the stillness to surround the conditions, you can see that the stillness just penetrates into them, relaxes them and breaks them up. And this is really what is present for us in the moment. It's there for us at any given moment to know. As we look into the present moment to understand. As we look into the present moment and we start to listen to ourselves. To listen, to understand what it is that makes me up as a person, that makes you up as a person. And to notice that right in the heart of all of those conditions there is this stillness, this still consciousness. The fifth aggregate. This consciousness makes up the whole world. Wherever you look, whatever you see, whatever you experience, that still consciousness is there, surrounding it, penetrating into it. And you can see it that way. See it as a penetrative force that allows you to finish with conditions, to break them up and finish with them. But you can also start to see that it is also a creative force. It's an energy that you can use to create wholesomeness and goodness in your life. You can use it as an energy to create love and understanding. You can use it as an energy to create a beautiful world around yourself, around your friends and your family. And even, dare I say, to create an experience of acceptance for this virus that's come to visit the world. We can see it with understanding, with kindness. And it's just a bit like Ajahn Brahm's anger-eating demon. The more we can allow it all to be, the more it starts to just dissipate, the more it starts to relax and find its place, find its rightful place. Because we can see that it too has a place in this universe. The same as all the conditions that come into our mind. They all have a place in this universe. So now I'm going to just not speak any words for just a couple of minutes or so, just to allow you to let this stillness build. No need to think of anything at all, but just allow yourself to be content and to let this stillness magnify, build, so that you know it beyond any doubt. Now in a moment I'm going to ring the bell 3 times. And over the course of that resonance of the bell ringing, I would like you just to reflect on how you feel now, what you've noticed, what you've learned. And most importantly, what I would like you to do is to make sure that you bring that feeling, that knowledge of the still consciousness back to you, back with you at the end of the session, so that it's there in your mind. So that it's there in your mind when we finish this meditation session. So that you can hear the closing words that I'll make inside the stillness that you've cultivated over this period of meditation. And to realise that you can do this. To realise that you can know all this without any doubt. And the reason why you don't have any doubt is because you can feel this, you can know it for yourself, both intellectually and emotionally. You know because you've experienced this. So now you can open your eyes and come back to wherever you are, wherever you're doing this meditation. And I hope you can use that guided meditation to good effect when you're thinking about whatever it is that you're anxious about, whatever fears might come up. To know that you can use this stillness, the stillness that hopefully is still there for you right now. To be able to use this stillness to surround these anxious feelings, these anxious thoughts, these fearful thoughts, and to know that we have got this refuge right here in the present moment. This refuge that the Buddha pointed to for us. And over the coming talks that we'll give, as I've mentioned at the start, we'll look at many topics that we look at when we're learning how it is to listen. Basically just in the same way that we've talked about here in this session. Just listening to ourselves, knowing what it is that's fearful inside us, what the conditions are. And bit by bit over the coming time, we'll address all of those issues so that you are learning all the time how to listen to yourself. And we're doing this too in the knowledge that in about 4 weeks we'll have our telephone service here set up, and there will be a team of people here ready to take your calls and perhaps just discuss or talk about things that might be of concern for you. So, on this Saturday afternoon here in Perth, I bid you all farewell, and we'll look forward to being with you all next time. So on behalf of the care group, I'll say good afternoon to you all.